Sean, you're still on mute there.
Well, Coach, sorry about that. I think I'd be used to the Zoom by now, but what's your guys' plan with quarterback? Obviously, Luke leaving has kind of put your room in a hole. Are you looking at taking a transfer, a grad transfer? I mean, what's the logical move that you could look at doing here to kind of keep things in line going forward?
Yeah, I think I just got done saying I think it's smart in this day and age, just with the way things are, 1,600 kids in the transfer portal. I think you got to expect some guys to leave. We kind of did. There's always going to be surprises too, and I think you have to stay light on your toes and be ready to adapt and solve problems when you need to. With 1,600 kids in the portal and basically barely over 100 Division I schools, there's a lot of kids out there looking for spots. Probably not enough spots for all the kids. We're intentionally keeping a couple spots in our pocket, and we thought about maybe doing something before this semester started and trying to address the issue, but I didn't want to make any quick moves that might be mistakes, and I imagine there'll be more kids in the portal after junior college season and 1AA season, and even probably more movement after spring ball. Also really want to see what we have in the room. Really been impressed with Logan since he's been here. Really been impressed with Heinrich in the short time that he's been here. So quarterback's no different than anywhere else. We'll take a look at what we have, and we got a couple spots in our pocket to see if we need to get some help anywhere.
You mentioned junior college football. I mean, how hard is it going to be for teams to have spots held for all those junior college prospects? And do you think there's going to be a lot of guys that emerge from the JUCO season that happens in the spring?
Yeah, JUCO's been a little different too. I talked to Coach up at Iowa Western. He's a good friend of ours, and he's talking about their rules have changes, and their kids are going to have a chance to come back again if they need to. But usually there's a lot of junior college kids that end up in really good places, and they're going to try to play games this spring. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of guys there looking for spots too. So it's just a strange year. I feel sorry for the kids that are coming out this year. They haven't had a normal chance to visit and do some other things, and they're going to have to adapt, and we're trying to stay as light on our feet as we can with all that too. So we'll see where all that lands.
Brian Christopherson.
Hey, Scott, it's been a while since Nebraska landed a guy from Hawaii. Can you take us through the recruitment of Wyndon a little bit and just, kind of getting your feet on the ground there in Hawaii, and maybe if that can lead to some other things?
Yeah, a couple of things on that. I think our staff's history of recruiting that state probably helps us a little bit when we go over there. I've had really good luck with a couple quarterbacks from there. From St. Louis and Mililani, and I was over there before recruiting got shut down last winter with Tony Tuioti, and he used to live on the North Shore, showed me where he lived, and we drove through the neighborhood, and everybody knew who he was, and he stopped at a place that looked like a gas station to get poke tuna, and it was awesome, and some kind of breakfast pastry that I didn't even know the name of that was unbelievable, and I think we ate 2 dozen between the two of us, and I jumped off a cliff into the ocean, and everybody knows him over there. So I think he's going to be a big asset for us over there. Really unusual to recruit somebody from there without really having a chance to get over there, but we were lucky enough to see Wyndon on that trip when we were over and stayed in touch with him. Tony did a good job. Barrett and Doss and Chins all did a good job with him, and he's our kind of guy. So we don't care where they're from. Only disappointment is I didn't get to go over and do a home visit with him, but he's a good player, and hopefully that opens a door for us.
Hey, Scott, a current guy everybody's wondered about is Omar Manning, and he's stuck around. Where's he at now? How do you feel about him going in the spring, and if he can be ready for you?
You know, we're trying to get Omar healthy and ready to go. He's here and has done a good job so far. So we got our fingers crossed, and we're trying to help him out any way we can. But also, I just don't want to put too much pressure on him. I think we're all expecting him to be a good player. But I don't want him to feel overwhelmed with the pressure of that. And we're excited about what he can do for us if we get him right, and he's a consistent part of the team.
Parker Gabriel?
Scott, I know it wasn't a normal year for anybody, but how much were you able to learn about Logan Smothers over the course of the year? Obviously, once the season arrived, you're getting your two main quarterbacks ready to play. So what did you learn about him? Sort of where is he at in his developmental arc, and what's the challenge for him this winter and spring?
Yeah, I'm excited by what I've seen so far. Logan's as good an athlete as all those other guys in the quarterback room. I think what I was really been impressed with so far is just his savvy and ability to process information quick and make good decisions. He's been really accurate. Mario's been working with him on throwing motion to make that a little more consistent and efficient and powerful. And I've seen Mario do wonderful things with guys from that standpoint. So I got higher hopes right now than I did when we recruited Logan, and he's going to get his share of reps this spring, so anxious to see where he is.
Mitch Sherman?
Hey, Scott. Sticking with the quarterback discussion, if you do, look for somebody after the spring, does it take a unique guy in that you have a 27-game starter coming back? How do you go about that process if you're going to, start to look at possibilities and, finding the right dynamic, the right fit for the chemistry that you have right now in that room?
I'm not trying to belittle the question, but that's way too far down the road for me to get into details about what we're thinking if we need one. That's not what we're thinking right now. I'm anxious to go. I want to coach the kids that want to be here and the kids that are on our team, and we'll see what happens down the road, but I don't want to get into that kind of speculation.
Okay. Can I ask you one too, just about the overall depth at your offensive skill spots? Of course, Adrian is an experienced guy, but what's your mindset going into winter, into spring, with the the lack of experience that you have at running back and receiver, and the opportunity for young guys to step up and emerge there?
Yeah, I think it's two different questions, experience and depth. This is the best depth we've had by far, and the best overall talent we've had by far at the skill spots, in my opinion. Starting with tight end with the guys we have coming back, obviously there's experience and depth and talent at that position. We love our young running backs, and I think they're going to be great. We just thought they were all young, and maybe we needed to add a veteran player, but that room looks the best that it's looked since I've been here. Receiver, I think we have more talent in the room by far than we've had in a long time. Adding Samori certainly helps. We got guys that played last year between Levi Falk and Oliver Martin and Xavier Betts and Alante Brown that all have some experience, and I can expect to make a huge jump this year. Some walk-ons that are really helping us and have a chance to be really good for us. Will Nixon coming back off injury that was looking really good until he got hurt. Plus the three kids that we signed that I'm really excited about. So as far as that room goes, I think it's far and away the deepest and most talented group that we've had. Experience is an issue at some of those spots. I think that's why guys like Marquise and Samori are going to help us. They haven't done it here, but it's hard to argue with the playing time at running back and being an All-American at the 1AA level, and that certainly gives some experience and former production. So overall skill positions, best talent that I think we've had, and certainly the best depth.
Thanks.
KM3, Adam Kruger.
Hey, Coach, just curious if you have an update on the special teams analyst position, and is there anything specifically you're looking out of that position that maybe the person who held that job last year didn't give to you, or anything different you're looking from that spot this year?
I figured I should ask you guys that question. You guys seem to know what's going to happen before we do around here. I think we're getting really close to making some announcements. We have to go through a process here and try to do a good job with following the rules here to make sure that that we post things and do interviews and background checks and everything before we hire people. And I think we've had some guys identified for a while. I think it'll be announced soon.
Sam McEwen.
Okay. All right. I tried to stay a little back here. Scott, I guess I'm curious. I talked to you about 10 days ago. There's just what it's like now that you're the head coach of a program and responsible for a whole bunch of people, and how you process criticism from us, I suppose, but from former teammates, and knowing in your own heart that like you're responsible for a whole bunch of people now versus when you were a player, when you could control your own performance and that was about it. How has that changed? And like, how do you kind of process some of the negativity that you hear now, knowing that you're responsible for a bunch of people, including 150 players?
Sam, I don't even really know where you're going with that question. I'm not going to comment on any criticism. Sometimes I just need to call you and ask you what's going on with some of the criticism. That's the nature of this job. There's going to be people that agree with everything. If you're throwing the ball, you should be running it. If you're running it, you should be throwing it. That's the nature of the job. Sometimes I get a little personal here, especially since this is my home state. But listen, we want every former player to be involved in this. We've called a bunch of them the last couple of weeks to make sure they know that we want them around, and winning takes care of almost all of that. So that's what we got our mind focused on. And I tell the guys not to pay any attention to the outside noise, and a lot of the articles are outside noise. And there's criticisms that are unwarranted. We're looking to hire a player development guy, and somehow that got twisted into Ron Brown not being incapable or being too old. That's just dead wrong, and that was twisting words. Anytime you're in front of the camera, a lot of words can be twisted. Ron's an unbelievably valuable part of our program. We just want to get him in the role where he can do the most good. The rest of it is just noise and people in the way of us trying to accomplish what we need to accomplish.
When you think about Ron's strengths and the things that he's going to help you do really well, what strikes you about the course of his career and the value that he's brought to you personally?
He's got as much character as anybody I've been around, and a ton of experience, and loves this place as much as I do.
Steve Sipple.
Hey, Scott, a little off the beaten path. Alabama has had 9 of the last 11 top-ranked recruiting classes in the nation. Can you kind of put that in perspective, and maybe what it means to your plight, what it means to everybody's plight?
I'm new to this idea that I have a lot of plight, so you're going to have to explain to me. I don't work at Alabama. I work here. We need kids that fit here, want to be here, kids that we can develop, and we're going to get the best we can.
Ron did tell me you guys have watched some Alabama tape of late. What in particular impresses you about that machine right now?
We watch everybody sip. I mean, we go through in the off season, and I guarantee when in our time at Oregon and UCF, and probably even here, we're one of the teams that people have probably watched a lot. And you see elements of what Chip started at Oregon and what we did and carried on, and everybody's stealing from everybody. We're not the only one. Everybody's stealing from everybody. So, and usually teams are watching the most productive offenses and defenses to see if they can pick 1 or 2 things up here and there. So that's just one of many that we'll watch in the offseason to see if we can pick anything up. Congratulations to them. The run they're on is unbelievable, and I think they execute well. Man, did they have a lot of talent and speed, and did a good job with that group, putting them in position to make plays.
Thank you, Scott.
KETV, Andy Kendi.
Hey, Scott, this is a broad brush. I don't want to get in particulars with certain individuals, but why do you think kids these days are more apt to look for greener grass and enter the transfer portal? Is there a unifying characteristic that you hear over and over again?
No, and honestly, it's a maybe. It's a little hypocritical of me to say anything. I transferred. Sometimes you pick someplace and it isn't the right fit and you need to go someplace. And I think every situation is unique. I would say, if you want to paint with broad brushes, that we probably live in an era where adults and kids alike have shorter attention spans and want instant gratification and want everything to work right away. And it doesn't always work immediately. And sometimes the best thing you can do is put your head down and work harder and make it work. And a lot of kids are doing that at every school around the country. Some others don't make that decision, and they have to do what's best for them. Best we can do is try to adapt to all these things.
Hey, that being said, how thrilled are you about the pieces you have coming back defensively? You got almost everyone back.
Yeah, and those are the leaders on our football team right now. Ben Stilley from up in Ashland, I think his best few games at Nebraska were his last few. I expect that to just keep blossoming and getting better. Deontay and Markel in the secondary were real leaders for us all last year. I think they both have a chance to play after college. So we're thrilled to get those guys back. Will Honus had an injury his first year here and had a really good season for us last year. It's great to get him back. And JoJo's, they're all unique situations. I think JoJo would have had a chance to move on this year, but really wanted to come back and be with that group of guys and see Nebraska get over the top. So we're thrilled to have them back. They're all the type of kids we want. It's a lot easier to win in this league with experience, and getting those guys back gives us more experience.
Thanks, Scott.
Get to a few more. Brian Christopherson again.
Hey, Scott, you sounded optimistic in one of the interviews about Miles Farmer maybe being on a quicker timetable, and some worried about it first. Is he a possibility for the spring? And I was also going to ask about Javen Wright, because I know he had an injury last year and where he was kind of at.
Yeah, both those two kids, Miles and Javen, are young, talented kids that we're really excited about. Javen was having an unbelievable camp until he got hurt in a drill. We really could have used him this last year. Miles, that was heartbreaking to me, and threw us all for a loop a little bit right before the Purdue game to just get hurt doing a ball drill in warm-ups. Those guys both have a chance to be good players around here, and just both great kids. They're working hard to get back. I expect they're both on a good track, and I think latest update, they'll both be, at least in a limited capacity, ready for spring.
And I know this is far down the road, but it does deal with your off-season planning. Even if you guys don't make the trip to Dublin because of all the circumstances, would you still want to play a week 0 game? Is there still a benefit in that scheduling wise for you guys?
We'll see. That's all stuff that we have to have determined for us. I miss traveling overseas. My wife and I love to travel overseas, and I just haven't been able to with COVID. So I've never been to Ireland, been to a lot of other countries in Europe, was looking forward to it. Hope our program gets to do it at some point, either this year or down the road if it doesn't happen this year. And I think the rest of the schedule has a chance to be altered or changed based on that. So a lot of things still up in the air right now.
Thank you.
Back to Parker Gabriel.
Scott, sort of a spring process question. With the way the academic calendar is set up, is it better for you in some ways to be able to run spring ball without spring break being in the equation? And then also, now that you're out of season, are your COVID protocols with your team a lot different than what they were while you were going through the season?
Yeah, I think the campus protocols have changed a little, Parker, and that's helped us make sure that we get the kids back and keep them healthy. We've kind of gone back to a little more of a program like we used in the off season last year before the season got started. It's costly to test kids every day. We're just doing a really good job monitoring potential symptoms and health and making sure we're keeping an eye on everybody's health and testing when appropriate. Spring ball thing, yeah. You just have to be light on your feet nowadays with this stuff going on, and I'm kind of pleased with how it's all going to work out this year. It gives us a chance to get spring ball done in one swing rather than having spring break in the middle of it. I think a May 1st spring game with our fingers crossed that fans can be there gives us a better chance of having a great day for that. And we try not to push the kids, so we go 3 practices a week, and having 5 straight weeks of that, I think, sets up well for us to make the improvements we need.
Evan Bland.
Scott, I'm just curious, how much has the pandemic affected where you guys are with 2022 recruiting, and what challenges do you think will be unique to that cycle as it starts playing out?
Just the unique thing with 22 recruits right now is we got a ton of kids that are anxious to come see Lincoln and trying to figure out when that's going to happen. There's talk that it'll be April 1st. There's talk it might get pushed to June 1st. We do the best when kids have a chance to come see Lincoln and see the people of Lincoln and meet the fans and maybe even be at a home game. So we'll be in a better position the minute we can have unofficial and official visits, and doing the best we can in the meantime.
2 or 3 more here. Back to Adam Kruger.
Hey, Coach, how much more of a role do you foresee yourself having with the quarterbacks in the offseason, and what all would that specifically entail?
I'm always involved with the quarterbacks. Mario does a great job, has done a great job. But as a head coach and guy working with the offense, I'm always involved with the quarterbacks and will be as much as I need to get guys ready. Mario always has them ready. If there's anything extra that I can add to it, I'm always looking for opportunities to do that.
Sean Callahan.
Yeah, Coach, I know there weren't a lot of positives with COVID, but when you look at just what it forced you guys to do in recruiting and kind of honing in on the 500-mile radius, I mean, can you pull some real positives from that, just how you guys were able to really succeed locally, getting so many of your guys within driving distance from Lincoln?
Yeah, I said I think that was a little bit of an half intentional and half result of the COVID, that we have more regional guys. That's where we start all the time anyway, Sean. If there's a kid particularly in the state and in the area that we think can help us, we want them here. We've done a lot of things with Zooms and virtual visits and everything that I think we probably need to continue to use when appropriate. But the great part about that is I think the talent pool in the Midwest and in Nebraska looks really strong the next couple of years, and we're excited to get our share of those guys.
Hale varsity, Derek Peterson.
Hey, Scott, depending on kind of the group that you go with, you could be young on the offensive line. What do you want to see from that group as you go through winter conditioning and move into spring ball?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the offensive line group. Jaime and Matt were both a part of what we were doing for a long time. We're grateful to them. We started that last game at Rutgers with 4 underclassmen, 3 of them being freshmen, and I guess Cam technically still was a freshman with a red shirt, and this year not counting. So we're going to have we got some really good young talent at that position, some veterans that are going to compete for time, and I think we're getting more talented on the offensive line. Made too many mistakes there last year between penalties and just a missed block here or there. That sometimes goes along with some inexperience. And if there's one group that I think is probably going to make the biggest jump this offseason on the offense, it's that group. And Coach Austin's already working with them and looking forward to what they can become.
You got a big, long, extended look at Bryce Benhart at right tackle. Does he kind of factor into your thinking of why you think they can make a step?
Absolutely. You're just never as good in your first year playing college football as you are your second. And I think Bryce knows some things he needs to work on. But for a redshirt freshman out there playing in the Big Ten, he had a really good year and did a lot of good things. And he's committed to working hard, and excited about him, excited about Ethan Piper continuing to develop. Turner Corcoran came in at left tackle last year, and we didn't miss a beat with him out there after losing a senior for the last game. Brant Banks is another kid in our program that is young and really talented. I'm also really excited about guys like Sickerman and Hickson and Bando and others that you know, are going to get a shot to compete at all those spots. You know, Nuri's a kid that came in that has a lot of talent. Ezra Miller we got as a transfer. There's going to be some really good competition at those spots, and I think we're bigger and more athletic than we've been.
All right, and we'll finish up. Kevin Suits.
Scott, Super Bowl Sunday is a few days away. Do you have a pick between the Bucs and the Chiefs, or do you have a rooting interest in the game?
First of all, I got to comment on your room. Nice trash can up there. I don't know about the sticker on your whatever that is.
We got it. It's a Scofro over there, and yeah, the Cubs can's up there. And I won't go through all the bobbleheads that are back there either.
Oh, you got is that a Herbie or Harry Husker? I can't tell.
That's an old school Herbie back there.
Gotcha. What was the question?
Super Bowl Sunday. Who do you got? And do you have a rooting interest?
Man, this one's tough for me because I root for the Chiefs because they're a Midwest team, and gosh, they're just fun to watch, and I love their creativity on offense. It's hard to not root for the Buccaneers right now with all the Nebraska ties that you have there. You know, Sue has meant so much to this program and had such an unbelievable career that I'm really pulling for him to maybe be able to put a ring on. Levante David, same way, and he's one of the best in the business and has been, and he deserves more accolades than he gets. And having Khalil down there too, as somebody that I coached, actually been on the phone with Jason Light, who's a Nebraska guy, and congratulated him on getting where he is. And we even have a strength coach, Chad Wade, that worked here for a long time that works for the Bucs. So I got to be pulling for them because of Nebraska ties, but looking forward to watching, and good luck to those Nebraska guys for the Bucs.